The afternoon sun beat down on the quiet roadside diner, its faded sign buzzing softly as motorcycles roared into the parking lot. One by one, a group of bikers climbed off their machines, laughing loudly, drawing attention wherever they went. Inside the diner, conversations hushed as heads turned. Near the window sat Sarah Collins, a disabled woman veteran. Her posture was rigid, her movements slow and careful. A Navy insignia patch was stitched onto her worn jacket, a subtle reminder of a past life most people overlooked. A metal brace supported her left leg, and a faint scar traced the side of her neck, marks of service she never spoke about. She had come only for a quiet meal. Peace was something she rarely found. The bikers noticed her almost immediately. At first it was just whispers and snickers. One of them nudged another, pointing subtly at her brace. Another mocked a salute under his breath. Sarah pretended not to notice, focusing on her coffee, her jaw tightening. Years in combat had taught her discipline. Ignore distractions. Stay calm, don't escalate. But the taunts grew louder. "Hey, soldier," one biker called out, smirking. "Lose a race with a tank?" Laughter erupted around the table. The diner fell silent, the tension thick in the air. Sarah's fingers curled slowly around her mug. She had faced far worse than insults, but humiliation in civilian life cut deeper than enemy fire ever had. She stood carefully, preparing to leave. That's when one biker stepped into her path, towering over her. "Relax," he sneered. "We're just having some fun." Sarah looked up at him, her eyes steady, trained, unafraid. "Step aside," she said calmly. Her composure only fueled them. Unbeknownst to the bikers, a man seated at the counter had been watching everything. He noticed the way Sarah scanned exits, the way her breathing stayed controlled, the unmistakable bearing of someone trained for war. Quietly, he reached into his pocket and sent a short message. Across town, alarms didn't sound. No sirens wailed. But phones lit up. 20 minutes later, the bikers would understand a truth they had. Mocked, some warriors never stopped being protected by their own. And when the Navy SEALs arrived, nothing would ever be the same again. The diner's door swung shut behind Sarah as she stepped outside, the cool air brushing against her face. She moved slowly toward her truck, every step calculated, every sound noted. The bikers followed, boots scraping against asphalt, laughter echoing too loudly in the open space. "Come on, hero," one of them called. "Don't leave so soon." Sarah stopped. She turned, not with anger, but with a calm that unsettled them. "You should walk away," she said evenly. "This ends better for everyone if you do." The bikers burst out laughing. "You hear that?" Another sneered. "She's threatening us." They didn't see what Sarah saw. The diner windows reflecting movement. The subtle shift in the man at the counter now standing, phone still in hand. They didn't recognize the posture, the discipline, the restraint in her voice. To them, she was just a disabled woman alone. To anyone who had served, she was something else entirely. One biker stepped closer, invading her space. "What are you gonna do? Call your unit?" he mocked. Sarah met his eyes. "I already did," she replied quietly. Before he could respond, the distant hum of engines cut through the air, different from the growl of motorcycles, deeper, heavier, precise. The bikers turned. Black SUVs rolled into the parking lot with controlled speed, tires crunching gravel in perfect formation. Doors opened almost simultaneously. Men stepped out, calm, composed, unmistakable. No shouting, no chaos, just presence. The laughter died instantly. One by one, the men approached. Their movements were economical, their eyes scanning, assessing. A patch caught the sunlight on one of their sleeves, Navy SEALs. The bikers froze. "Ma'am," one of the men said respectfully, stopping in front of Sarah. "Are you hurt?" "No," she answered. "But thank you for coming." The lead SEAL turned slowly toward the bikers. His voice was low, controlled, and far more terrifying than shouting. "Gentlemen, we're going to have a conversation." The bikers suddenly understood their mistake. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't intimidation. This was accountability. Sarah watched quietly as the men who had mocked her now struggled to meet anyone's eyes. She felt no triumph, only relief. Not because she needed rescuing, but because respect had finally arrived. As the situation was handled calmly and decisively, Sarah adjusted her jacket, the navy patch catching the light once more. She had survived war, and tonight she was reminded she was never alone. The parking lot was silent now. No engines roared. No laughter remained. The bikers stood in a tight cluster, their earlier confidence completely gone. One of them shifted nervously, finally realizing how quickly arrogance could turn into fear. The lead Navy SEAL stepped forward, his tone calm but absolute. "You disrespected a decorated veteran," he said. "A woman who served this country and paid for it with her body. That's not a mistake you get to laugh off." One biker swallowed hard. "We didn't know," he muttered. Sarah finally spoke again. Her voice was steady, but it carried weight. "That's the problem," she said. "You didn't care to know." The SEAL nodded slightly, then turned to Sarah. "Ma'am, if you'd like to file a report, we'll stay." She paused. Memories flashed through her mind, dust-filled battlefields, fallen friends, nights she thought she wouldn't make it home. She had learned long ago that strength wasn't always about retaliation. "No," she said quietly. "I just want to leave." The SEALs respected her decision instantly. One of them opened a clear path to her truck. Another walked beside her, not as a guard, but as a brother in arms. As Sarah reached her vehicle, she stopped and turned back. The bikers watched her, shame written across their faces. "I don't want revenge," she said. "I want you to remember this moment. Remember that the people you mock might be the ones who protected your freedom." No one replied. She climbed into her truck and drove away, her hands steady on the wheel. For the first time that day, she felt light. Not because she had been defended, but because her dignity had been acknowledged. Back in the parking lot, the SEALs departed as quietly as they had arrived. No applause. No spectacle. Just duty fulfilled. Inside the diner, the man who had sent the message sat back down, finishing his coffee. He hadn't acted out of fear or drama, only loyalty. Veterans recognized their own. Later that night, Sarah parked outside her small home and sat in silence for a moment. She touched the Navy patch on her jacket and whispered, "Still standing." She always had been, because some scars tell stories of survival, some disabilities hide unbreakable strength, and some bonds like those between warriors never fade.